Well, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Nathan Vasquez, and I am the elected district attorney for Multnomah County. I want to start by saying that October 22nd of 2023, it was a really scary day and event for all of those passengers on the plane. This is certainly a situation where Mr. Emerson absolutely put their lives in danger with his actions. And really, what I like to focus on is just how amazing that crew and those pilots are that were present that day, that took those actions, that really stopped this from being such a horrible tragedy. It was their quick actions. They are to be commended. I was able to meet with them during the grand jury process and thank them personally. Their actions really saved a lot of lives that day. I'm so thankful that this wasn't a tragedy and that we're here today to just talk about how we've resolved this case. And that case has progressed, and through time it's been, as you know, quite a journey to get here, but we spent a lot of time working through the mitigation provided by Mr. Emerson and his attorneys, and I believe that this is an appropriate resolution to this. It certainly takes into account the gravity of what occurred, and most importantly, it holds them accountable. We are here today because we certainly want to make sure that, obviously, we want to do everything we can to avoid such tragedies, and hopefully this sends a message today. It's one that I will join Mr. Emerson in, which is that we do need to see a cultural shift in how we treat mental health and how we accept that in our society, and certainly for pilots and for professionals in which we entrust our lives to, we need to have a culture and environment that is accepting of people that are in times of challenge and need assistance. So, yes, he was punished. He did spend some time in jail. He has a lot of community service to do, and we put safeguards in place. Do I think he'll ever fly again? Absolutely not. Do I think that's appropriate? Of course I do. So with that, I'm happy to take any questions, and we'll see if Mr. Pickard, you want to come up and speak for just a moment?
Sure.
All right, come on up, sir.
There are a couple things that I thought about when I was trying to get this case wrapped up. So I wrote down these two remarks. The first focuses on Mr. Emerson. What Joseph Emerson did was reckless, selfish, and criminal. We should remember how close he came to ruining the lives of not just the 84 people aboard Flight 2059, but all of their family members and friends as well. Joseph Emerson is now a convicted felon, has 83 convictions for recklessly endangering, and will be on formal probation for 60 months. Additionally, he has been ordered to perform 664 hours of community service. With this sentence, we aim to hold him accountable for his choices, his conduct, and his betrayal to his duty as a pilot. Airline pilots have a tremendous amount of responsibility, and when something goes wrong at 30,000 feet, you better hope that you have a competent, composed, and courageous flight crew to handle it. Fortunately for the passengers of Flight 2059, Captain Emil Reimer and First Officer Alan Koisel were manning the flight deck, and when Joseph Emerson, who was deadheading in the cockpit jump seat, suddenly attempted to activate the fire suppression handles and stop the fuel from getting into the engines, the pilots jumped to action to stop him. Their swift reaction prevented what could have been a horrendous tragedy, and they saved the lives of 84 people, including 11 children, and the defendant's life. The state of Oregon is grateful for Captain Reimer and First Officer Koisel's heroism.
Any questions?
How do you respond to the victim who spoke today that said that this is not enough punishment, that she really felt like the emotional trauma that all of those passengers felt deserve more than the negotiated deal?
I'm really glad that she decided to say her piece. That's an important part of this process. We want victims to participate. We want victims to say how they feel. I think Mr. Emerson was receptive to what she said. The judge was as well. And that is one of the things we consider when we try to formulate a just outcome, is to think about what the victims want. At the same time, we're dealing with an unusual situation. This is somebody that has no criminal history, no evidence that he's ever done anything dangerous before. And based on everything I know right now, I think it would be very surprising if we ever saw him on the wrong side of the law again. But that being said, this is why we have him on probation for such an extended period of time. And this is why, if he does step out of line, he's going to be looking at a prison sentence.
And, just briefly to jump in on that one, in listening to the victim's comments, which I really appreciated, we actually weren't very far off. Certainly, I think there could always be questions about what's the right numbers and different things, but what she was asking for in particular was that we see opportunities for change system-wide. We're calling for change system-wide. We saw where there was a call for Mr. Emerson to go speak at schools. I believe he's fully receptive to that. In fact, I think he's eager to do that, to speak at schools, to speak at conferences. We heard that he will be doing that. So this is really, where we are taking in the comments from the victims. I believe Mr. Emerson is, and I do believe that a lot of what they're saying and what they're calling for, we're in alignment on.
This is both state and federal charges, I'm assuming. How did your two groups work together, or were you guys just completely separate?
So Mr. Emerson does have a federal case going, and certainly I would say coordinated. When this happened back in 2023, we called them immediately and said, "Hey, are you going to take action?" The federal government, there's some positives and there's some others, and they can be a little slower than us. And so we took immediate action because we believe the community needed that. And but here we are today, and they are moving forward. And I believe that they have a sentencing hearing coming up in November.
Why would you have dual prosecutions? Usually, sometimes if you both bring a prosecution, one decides to drop the case while the other sees it to fruition. How come the dual tracks all the way to sentencing?
This one, I felt it was important that this was certainly something that my office and this community were invested in, and we wanted to make sure we saw all the way through. And quite frankly, I don't have any ability to tell the federal government what to do. And so I can only assure and make sure that we seek out what I believe is correct in this instance. And so that's why we decided to keep it going forward with our state case.
Our information shows that he's scheduled for sentencing in federal court September 17. That's the day of the conference that he was approved of. Is that
No,
correct,
that's not
or is
right.
that wrong? Okay.
I think this morning there was a hearing, is that correct, where he pled and they set a new date, or at least a date, which is
Okay.
in November for sentencing. And I'm sure some of your colleagues here will have that date.
Thank you. I
Yep.
appreciate the clarification.
Absolutely.
You ever dealt with anything like this before?
In my 25-year career, I've dealt with a lot of, far-ranging types of cases, but this one's definitely unique. I would say that on multiple fronts, certainly the gravity of harm, in the fact that you had 83 individuals, that it affected really, I would say the community and really nationwide had an impact. So those are all unique factors. Looking at the individual, because we try at this office to look at cases from all different angles, and we looked at this individual, and it was definitely unique to have someone that was and is a high-functioning individual engage in such reckless and terrible behavior.